because we need to hear new, fresh, bold voices. That's what the American people want. And if the party doesn't do that, the party is about to be finished.
I hope that AOC, Pramila Jayapal, Greg Cesar, I hope they're the new face of the Democratic Party because Republicans will be winning elections all over the country if that is the face of the Democratic Party. Are you?
I mean, y'all
listen, a district like mine that Joe Biden won by 10 points, okay, 10 points. Kamala Harris won by half a point. Okay, I won by 6.5 points, 24,000 votes in a district that has 85,000 more Democrats than Republicans. Why?
You're right.
Because the
Democrats. But you ran against a cornball candidate.
He was your friend.
He was not my friend.
He was your friend.
You had someone running against you who was not a strong candidate. And we still have,
we agree on.
We still have consultants and big money controlling the Democratic Party, compromising it.
She did outperform Kamala Harris in her district.
Now.
Trump did better than.
But here's my point. The New York, look no further than New York, where issues like cashless bail have been a disaster. Issues like sanctuary state status, congestion pricing. In districts like mine, where Democrats on paper should win big, they're losing. And so if the messenger is AOC, who, by the way, was originally from my district, she grew up in Yorktown, not the Bronx. If AOC is the face of the Democratic Party in swing districts all across this country, she will mobilize voters way more than Nancy Pelosi ever did.
Hit the hi-hat. Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the head of the Democratic Party? All of us remember the quote from the great Thomas Sowell, "Beware them big socialist titties. They're meant to hypnotize, then enslave your ass." All right, is that how we're going to start the show? Click the like button if you can take a joke. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. It's Freedom Monday, Freedom Tuesday, Freedom Wednesday, Freedom Thursday, Freedom Family Friday. We love freedom. We love America. We love liberty and justice for all. You're in the right place. Liberty is a young idea. Tyranny is an old idea. We fight for liberty, freedom, and Kim McCurry here on the Wake Up America show. Will Run Rye, what's up, boys? Quest Fanning, Floby Tenderson, Caleb Vanderfelts. Nice to see you guys. Have you clicked the like button yet? I know you guys already did, right? Of course. If today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, we'd love to hear from you. When you click the follow button underneath the video chat, you'll see that text line on the screen. It might be your first time texting the show. You can text me at that line, 573-319-1586. We're going to talk about Disney's Snow White, more sleepy than happy. Oh. Thank you. When is Hollywood going to learn? Snow woke. Zegler's Princess and the 7 CGI disasters. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. Did you guys see that on Friday we had our biggest show ever in the Wake Up America show's history? Oh, thank you, fake studio audience. With biggest show ever, and it was like at one point 11,000 people live. Stephanie and I were ready to capture it. I mean, it was huge. It was phenomenal. If we did those kinds of numbers every day, man, Hazel would be going to her private school in a golden chariot. Yes, but as of for now, it's either homeschooling or public schooling because we poll. Welcome to the Wake Up America show, where we talk about everything that's happening that you need to know in the news today. Democrats continue their reign of domestic terrorism with their attacks on Tesla dealerships. Protests have stepped up across the country. There's two kinds of people who attack Teslas. There's two kinds of people who can attack Teslas, who are attacking Teslas. One group of people are people who don't know that there are cameras and a thing called Sentry Mode in Teslas. They don't know how secure Teslas are and how they're going to jail. They're going to jail. They're going to jail. They're going to jail. And then there's the group of people who know that they're damaging Teslas and know that they have video cameras in them. And you just have to wonder, I mean, some of those, they'll be wearing, the liberal call sign these days. It's a leftist if they're still wearing a mask. They're living in 2019 and 20. They can't let go of the COVID pandemic. They still have an altar to St. Anthony Fauci, and they pray to him every night. They do their Sieg Heils in private, not in public, like our boy Elon. Just kidding, Elon. We love you, baby. Give me some Elon bucks. Did you see the story of the weekend? I don't know if it merits a full discussion. It is about my industry. It's about influencers who were allegedly taking payments to support soda companies. This is a big Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Maha battle where you had these, right-wing influencers who were allegedly paid by an influencer marketing company to promote it's about SNAP benefits. So, your welfare cards, food stamps, et cetera, the modern version of this, right? SNAP. You get soda with SNAP benefits. And so it's a big discussion about whether or not people who are on welfare should be, having their choices limited to not being able to buy sugary foods on it. Now, some people were saying things like, oh, this is going to help with the obesity crisis, right? Poor people who are going and buying soda. But I don't believe that because it's just like people who are meth addicts, right? When it comes to sugar or getting their sugary sodas, they're going to find a way to do it, right? I mean, SNAP benefits, they kind of become their own economy in a way. It's like SNAP benefits get traded for drugs and all kinds of things. This is why the truth is that, okay, yes, you should, no, you should not be able to use SNAP benefits to buy things like sugary drinks and soda. It should be government cheese, if anything. But the truth is that there should be no SNAP benefits. It's not what the role of government is. People are not going to starve to death in this country if they have to go down to the local Catholic church, the seminary, or go to their pastors and ask for a meal, a hot meal on a cold day. I think Benjamin Franklin was correct when he said that we should being poor is being miserable. We should make them uncomfortable in their poverty to drive them out of it. Benjamin Franklin. So if it's anything, it should be cheese, government cheese. But the true libertarian says that there should be no SNAP and soda. But here, the controversy came about because let me tell you guys something, okay? I have a child, I have a mortgage, right? I have things. I have my integrity and my moral compass. But if Coca-Cola came along to me and was like, and I know everybody's RFK Jr. and Maha, and I'm, behind the times and all this kind of stuff, and my Ron Swanson-ish love of sugary soda and the freedom to blow up to 500 pounds in this country, because this is America, damn it. So if Coca-Cola or Diet Coke or whatever, Pepsi, wants to advertise on this podcast, give me your money. I'll promote Coca-Cola. I love Coca-Cola. I go to a theme park, get myself a nice big Coca-Cola. Every once in a while, right? I go to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City, get a giant Coca-Cola on a hot day. It's delicious, right? Don't drink that shit every day. Don't drink it. I'll tell you right here and now, somebody who cares about health, I have weight struggles like anybody else, right? But I still, I work out and I'm trying to be health conscious. I'll drink a Coca-Cola. I'll have fast food sometimes, right? Now, I would prefer a home-cooked Japanese meal made by a sushi chef preparing for me my raw fish, on a regular basis. But guess what? Poor broke bitches in Missouri don't get to make those kinds of choices all the time. But I'll tell you this. When it comes to me paying for sugary soda for welfare benefits, that's a completely different matter. So if somebody came to me as an influencer and said, Austin, would you please promote sugary sodas to be a part of welfare benefits? At that point, I would say no, I would turn that down. So I would not take money for that. Do I take money to promote causes I believe in? Yes, I do. I do get paid as an influencer. I get paid, because surprise, I get paid to be an influencer. But I promote things that I care about. I get approached to promote things all the time, even some shady things sometimes where it's like, do I take it? I'm like, yeah, but I know the general public won't agree with this, but this doesn't go against my moral compass, right? Or my ethics. And so my ethics are different from your ethics, right? I don't have a problem promoting prescription drugs or drugs in general, right? And there's a big, the MAHA movement now is very prohibitory. I saw Tim Pool this morning, as a matter of fact, was posting that we should ban advertising of prescription drugs. I don't think that they should be restricting advertisements of cigarettes or alcohol. I don't think that that's the proper role of government. So for me, to take money, if Pfizer or Merck wanted to come and sponsor the Wake Up America show, I know that like a million conservatards will but Austin believes in the legalization of drugs. Inherently, I don't necessarily have a problem with drugs themselves. And how they're marketed, can it be deceptive? Sure. Would I market drugs deceptively? No. Would I market drugs? Absolutely. Yeah. I'll sell drugs. Bitch, I'm a libertarian. I am not a right-wing conservative. I'm a right-wing libertarian. I'm a Javier Milei, libertarian Republican, reluctant Republican. Call me a rhino if you wish. But the MAHA people are definitely rhinos, right? And this whole push to like ban sodas and ban this and ban that, all the drugs and all the chemicals. They put the chemicals in the Tyson chickens. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. Grow chickens on your own farm. I just hate people who want to restrict choices from other people. I'm pro-choice and everything, but don't kill the babies. You know what I'm saying? Don't kill the babies. Pro-choice and everything, but don't kill babies. A meal, a succulent meal. So would I take money to promote soda? Yes. Would I take money to promote drugs? Absolutely. Would I do so deceptively by and not tell you when I'm advocating for a clearly non-libertarian position? It was kind of pissing me off too, because people were attacking these influencers. I guess I am going to talk about this. I do have the other topics, and we do have John Miltimore today. But I guess I was angry that a lot of the right-wingers who are part of like the MAHA movement, and I call them right-wing, but I mean, really, it's like, welcome to the right, like as of 10 seconds ago, right? You know nothing about right-wing or right-wing politics, but of course, sure, you guys should obviously be in charge of everything. But the MAHA people, right, they come in and it's this it's this very authoritarian statist view when it comes to things like seed oils, or we should force the company to do this. We should force the choices on the people, and that's none of your goddamn business. What I eat or drink or sell, to whom I sell, that's none of the government's business. Like, back off of me, and trust me, like RFK Jr. does not blow up to 220 pounds jacked at whatever 90 years old he is, and not do that with the assistance of big pharma, right? So don't try and limit my choices when you clearly made just choices about your health. And maybe it is a good idea to take whatever juice that he's taken to roid up and get big and huge at this point and stuff like that. Maybe that is in his best interest. But are you seriously going to tell me that you should be allowed to juice and other people can't have a Coca-Cola? All right. It's like, we're both, it's all trade-offs. There's no such thing as there's no such thing as a perfect decision that is not going to have a trade-off. Okay. Everything has a trade-off. Every medical or health decision is a trade-off. And that's why individual choice and individual liberty are paramount for protecting people's freedom of choices. And that includes MAHA people, that includes making the wrong decision about what you want to do with your health. Otherwise, good choices don't mean anything, right? Otherwise, there's no concept of virtue, right? If you hear this concept, our society is made only for a virtue people, how are you gonna lord over us with your superiority complex of what you're eating, drinking, how your workout goes, and how your fascist health regimes. I mean, how are you going to lord over the rest of us if we aren't allowed to make bad decisions, right? If you don't want to come down on us, crack down on us with the hammer of government and force us all to eat or drink what we want to drink. Again, I'm not talking about the SNAP benefit people. That's different. Those are welfare queens, people who are on welfare, getting the government cheese. I don't think that they should have soda on the SNAP benefits program. But I'm talking about like the creeping tyranny that comes from every angle. You got an R after your last name, a D after your last name. You're an independent. No, you're really just a woke leftist who doesn't like the Democratic Party. Not even woke white liberal females like the Democratic Party anymore. It's sad. Senator Jonas says he was supposed to debate John Miltimore. John, I texted you back. I'm not sure if it went through, but John declined the debate, so I'm very sorry for that. Well, I can't force him either, right? That's up to him. But I did ask him, and he said he, prefers to just do segments with me, and that's of course his choice. Amy J.E. says it's about getting the facts about what you are about to choose. Sure, that's fine, but people can't even read, right? So it's like, okay, well, I don't even like the whole people who are like, we need to force them to label everything and label this and label that, and just like, no, remove the labels, remove all the labels, and let everybody figure it out. It's Drano. It's Drano underneath the sink. It doesn't have a sign on it that says toxic chemicals, do not drink it, right? Oh, do we need the warning labels on there? Or should we let people, or should Darwinism take over? How much is the government supposed to protect? The bottom, it is the bottom percentile who are ruining everything. For the rest of society, it's the bottom percentage of the criminals. It's the bottom percentage of every person in the class. We've got to remember the group project days, right? American democracy, quote unquote, small d democracy. American democracy is your class project from a high school. It's the bottom 20% letting the top 20% do the work for everybody, and then you kind of got like a little bit of a middle class if you're lucky, right? If you decide not to live, in the hut in the woods, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, if you decide to live a lifestyle where you of want, right? Poor in America is a choice. Poverty in the United States is a choice. No one is starving to death in the United States that is not making the conscious choice. Here is my white girl clap. Here is my white girl clap. Poverty in the United States is a choice. Can I get an amen? Exactly. Socialized medicine implies socialized diet, says Luke Sacker. Exactly. What's the White House been up to? Let's get back to the news, AP. Get off of this rant.
It was another very busy week here at the Trump White House. Here are the facts. President Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act to deport illegal migrant foreign terrorists and Tren de Aragua members to El Salvador. President Trump also launched decisive and powerful military action against Houthi terrorist bases in Yemen. Companies like Boeing, Johnson & Johnson, and NVIDIA announced billions of dollars in new investments in America, which will bring thousands of new jobs to communities like yours across the country. President signed an executive order aimed at dismantling the Department of Education after decades of declining academic performance despite trillions of dollars being spent on this federal agency. NASA astronauts who were abandoned by the Biden administration were finally brought home safely thanks to President Trump and Elon Musk. President Trump also delivered on his promise to release the JFK files with no redactions for the American public's consumption. And President Trump became the first sitting president in history to address a crypto conference. And last but certainly not least, egg prices have officially fallen more than 50% since President Trump took office. Gas prices have declined nationally for the fourth straight week in a row, and we are on our way to renewing the American dream. We are not tired of winning yet. We'll see you for next week's MAGA Minute.
All right, it sounds good, but we got to get that Congress in check. We must get the Congress in check. We have to crack down on the Republicans in Congress who are supposed to be on our side on spending cuts, the Department of Government Efficiency under Elon Musk moving forward, while Elon Musk is under attack. Hundreds of protesters gathered outside the Tesla showroom in the meatpacking district of Manhattan this weekend as part of the Tesla takedown movement. It's kind of ominous right there. Protests have been organized by groups including People Over Profits. People Over Profits. It's hard to tell whether that is Republicans or Democrats these days, as economically illiterate and as widespread as economic illiteracy has become. And the Disruption Project, could be a Silicon Valley group, but no, it's, leftist terrorists, to denounce Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Now, many of the protesters said they're targeting the businesses that made Musk the richest man in the world. Forbes estimates his net worth to be just under $200 billion. No wonder these girls trying to have my baby. If we can go ahead and continue to protest Tesla as strong as we possibly can and let the world know it's a toxic brand that fuels him, that's when you start putting pressure on someone, says Mark, a protester who is not willing to share his full name out of fear for his safety. Oh, really? Mark, you're afraid for your safety. Really? Oh, really? Okay, well, should Tesla owners be afraid of their safety? Take a look. Looky here. What are we doing? Are you a stupid retard? Yes, you are. You dumb bitch. You are so stupid. She looks like the type that would have gone to Harvard or Yale, like a completely normal Asian chick, right? Perfect score on her SATs. And look at this dumb bitch. Look at this stupid bitch. Look at her. She's looking right in the camera. She doesn't even put on a mask. Now, riddle me this, my fine feathered friends. Riddle me this. Does she know that there's a camera there and she's looking right at it? Because here's the thing. She's making an attempt to conceal herself. Okay? I mean, what kind of brain do you have up here that you crouch down so people won't see you keying the car, destroying property? So you don't want to be seen, but your face is right there in the open. You are stupid. You are an idiot.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Just look. Here she is. She's... Oh, look at her face. The facial expressions are actually kind of funny right there. Angry Ling Ling. You want fried chicken? Mountain Dew? Go back to Africa, Ling Ling. This is America, baby. It's time. Send all the violent Ling Lings back where they came from, or so help me. So help me. Welcome to the Wake Up America. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm Austin Peterson. We know Ling Ling shows. Click the like button if you haven't already. If today's the first time watching the Wake Up America show, click the follow button as well. This show is 5 days a week, every Monday through Friday. 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time is the show's running times. We've got 4 shows on the 4 Liberty Network that the Wake Up America show is part of. Tuesday and Thursday nights are your nights to have fun with the rest of the crew. Daniela Pensack hosts Culturama at rumble.com/Culturama. Make sure that you follow that page. And Liberty Tonight, Thursday nights. The king of all libertarians and Brian Piotr are on Thursday nights after Culturama. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are our special days. We've got so much great content, live shows happening on Monday through Friday, Tuesday and Thursday nights. The 4 Liberty Network is growing like crazy thanks to the support of people like yourself. Clicking the like button, following, and dropping comments in the chat. Being people like Will Run Riot, Luke Sacker, Dad Bod Baboon, Drew Van Runkle, Amy J. Ease, Whitey White, Mongoose 87, and so many others. T-Mill 22 as well. And Dad Bod Baboon, he dropped $5 in the tip jar. He wants to unlock the bonus content today. He says, I wonder what brand of water the trendy Aqua Gang drinks. Obviously not smart water. acts of domestic terrorism against Teslas and their drivers is fascinating to me because they don't seem to understand that, like, just a few years ago, it was considered a Democrat company. It was one of those companies where it was mostly the lefties who were buying all of these cars because they wanted to, quote, save the planet. And then they firebomb these vehicles. Doesn't seem like they're really that interested in saving the planet. Take a look at this. What's going on? What are you doing? Why are you so angry, Karen? What is your problem? Getting a little confrontational? Lady, why are you getting all up in the grip? What the hell? Look at this. She's got her keys out. Look at this bitch. Look at this bitch. There you go. That's what you get. That's what leftism does to your brain. Walks up to the Tesla dealer there. The cops are looking for an unhinged Karen in Issaquah, Washington, after she was caught on camera keying a Tesla Model Y. They're going to find you. We're going to find you, and then we're going to send you to jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. Pam Bondi spoke out about the recent spate of Democrat terrorism.
So much on this. There have been 3 federal charges so far.
Good.
And I say so far. We are looking at all of these cases across the country. We have a dedicated task force. These are not isolated incidents, as you know, and these aren't vandals. These are Molotov cocktails. You know, that could be a weapon of mass destruction that they're throwing in Tesla dealerships, that they're lighting these Tesla charging stations on fire that are in residential neighborhoods. I mean, it could cause tremendous damages, and people need to know the 3 people in custody right now, they will receive severe and swift consequences.
Good.
And they are facing up to 20 years in prison. We are not negotiating these. We are not coming off these charges.
Good.
We are looking at everything, especially if this is a concerted effort. This is domestic terrorism.
Good.
And Maria, now
Yes.
you have this Congresswoman Crockett who is calling for attacks on Elon Musk on her birthday. Let's take him out on my birthday, she says. Yet she turns and says, oh, I'm not calling for violence. Well, she is an elected public official. And so she needs to tread very carefully because nothing will happen to Elon Musk. And we're going to fight to protect all of the Tesla owners throughout this country, and it's this basic safety. Once again, domestic terrorism is going to come to a stop in our country.
Well, it's just
Yeah. Okay, Pam. Now, where's the Epstein files?
Epstein files.
Well, speaking
the January 6th commission, and what about the Epstein files? A lot of conversation
What about the Epstein files?
And I recognize that when you're dealing with children, it takes much more time. You've got to ensure that what you're sending out publicly is not revealing any personal information. But can you give us a sense of those 2 items and whether or not we'll learn more about them?
Sure. You're going to hear, all I'll say on January 6th, you're going to hear a lot more about the January 6th commission in a very good way. And as to Epstein, yes, you're absolutely right, Maria. You know, tens of thousands of pages of documents and hundreds of victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Wow. So the FBI, they have been working round the clock at my directive, at Kash Patel's directive. Now Dan Bongino's there, who is a great asset for all of us at the FBI as well. But yeah, we have to protect their identity, their personal information to make sure they're safe. But other than that, we are releasing all of these documents as soon as we can get them redacted to protect the victims of him.
Okay, well, that's a new line that they're taking on there, right? That they're trying to protect the victims. And if that is true, then, of course, I think makes sense, right? But remember, they did tease us with the whole binders, with the pictures of the conservative influencers, and the whole, it's on my desk, et cetera, et cetera. And just seeing, there's a lot of shadiness going on. And so, of course, the conspiracy theories are popping up. It's because there's Israel is on the list. That Israel slept with the child.
These horrific crimes that he committed.
You're also cracking down on anti-Semitism. We had days of protesting at Columbia University. The president threatening to pull $400 million in federal funding.
Good.
What do you want to say to universities out there, including Columbia, in terms of their ability to put an end to this anti-Semitism?
I want to say defund all the universities everywhere. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. Welcome to the Wake Up America Show. It's nice to see Relaxium McGroin again here on the Wake Up America Show. Everybody give him applause. Welcome back. We love that we got introduced to so many new people on Friday. The biggest show in Wake Up America Show history. I think we had over 11,000 live people on at one point, and everybody who joined in was like, "Oh my God!" The regulars were like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." And I hoped that we would get some people who would stick around from Friday to today, and it looks like we did. We picked up some noobs. If you're hanging out and you haven't dropped a comment in the chat, and you are relatively new to the Wake Up America Show, drop a comment in the chat. Introduce yourself. Let us know how you found me, how you found the Wake Up America Show, and give us a little bit of feedback. What do you think of the show? And say hi to your neighbors. Really positive, healthy community. I'll tell you very briefly that the thing about the Wake Up America Show is that I do actually monitor and we do trim the hedges in the chat. There's very, very little moderation, but there is some moderation. And we just ask if you guys want to fight or you want to debate about things, it's totally fine to disagree and debate about things. But if you guys start launching into hateful attacks and it starts to poison everything, then the poisoners will be made an example of. And that way we can actually have a healthy community. That's just part of the culture of the show, is that we try and keep things positive. It's not to suggest that there aren't negative things happening in the world and negative things need to be discussed, and they absolutely are. There's a universe of content out there for people who are, flinging poo at everything and are just full of hatefulness and bile and vile invective. And that's just not the Wake Up America Show. Do we trash communists? Yes. Do we make jokes at their expense? Yes. But we are kind to each other. We don't treat our friends the way we treat our enemies. And if you've never read Morton Blackwell from the American Conservative Union's Laws of the Public Policy Process, I highly recommend it. If there's one thing that I can share with you that would be, axioms, words of wisdom, for those who are politically active or engaged or even interested, you should read Morton Blackwell's Laws of the Public Policy Process. And one of the maxims in that is that you do not treat your friends the way that you treat your enemies. Now, I purposely have a smaller audience than a lot of other shows, and it's okay. I don't mind having a smaller audience if we are focused on the goals. I like to consider my audience like the special forces of liberty, if you will. Concentrated, highly effective, positive activists, freedom fighters. Amy, if you missed Friday, it was crazy. We had over 11,000 views. I checked the revenue on it, and it's funny because it's this chart, this bar chart, and it's it shows you how much you made on that show, and then it shows you the last 30 days or 90 days and the bar charts and all the other charts. Now that we had that Friday show that was the biggest show ever, it made so much money that it was all the other shows were you can't even see them. It's where is the the revenue from the other shows? It's so tiny. It's you made peanuts. And then this one show, it's a skyscraper. It's the first skyscraper that was ever built in New York. And then you can see all the other ones. So hey, why don't we help unlock the bonus content today, guys? Let's build the skyscrapers. I've got a Wake Up America Show bonus content video for you guys today. If you don't know the drill, here's how it works. If we raise $75 in Rumble Rants or in purchases at forlibertyshop.com, you can see some of our fine merch sitting on the table right there in front of you. Once we hit $75 raised, either in Rumble Rants, donated to the show, or in purchases made at forlibertyshop.com. If you're already a big Wake Up America Show fan, then we do have merch for the Wake Up America Show specifically at forlibertyshop.com. You will see here on the banner, see my little finger tickling it right up there, the 4LN logo. Let's see if I can get it over as close as I can. Right up there, the For Liberty Network. Our shop is forlibertyshop.com. It will pop up in just a moment, but we sell our own brand of Founding Flavors coffee We've got some delicious Colombian single origin. That's my Thomas's Painkiller. Founding Flavors Coffee. The Madisonian Morning Light Roast is delicious. If you have a little freedom fighter in your life or would-be freedom fighter and you want to introduce them to Calvin Coolidge, the coolest president, we have our own children's book available for sale. We'll sign it and send it to you to share with your little ones at forlibertyshop.com. You can see at forlibertyshop.com. And if you make these purchases during the live show, it goes to unlock the bonus content. And if we hit $75 raised by the end of the show, everybody, then you'll unlock that bonus content. You'll be able to watch our little mini documentary that we produce now for the show. And it's just a fun way to help gamify the monetization of the show. So that way I don't have to sell out to soda benefits and say that, oh, don't limit the choices of poor people on SNAP benefits. Let them drink sugary sodas. Give me some money right now, babe. Sell out. You're a shill, AP. You're a shill, AP. I want that Coca-Cola Diet Coke money, damn it. But if I don't need it, it makes it a lot easier. It's the question of what's the old joke about like what do you take me for? And it's like, oh, ma'am, we know what you are, but now we're just negotiating price. Does anybody know the old joke? Here it is. It's a man walks up to a girl on the street. He asks her, would you have sex with me for $1 million? The girl replies, for $1 million, sure. The man says, would you do it for free? The girl replies, for free? What kind of girl do you think I am? The man says, we've already found out what kind of girl you are. Now we're just negotiating a price. There it is. So get those Rumble Rant donations in, guys. A little bit at a time. We'll hit us $5. I think Dad Bod Baboon, he's already donated $5. I thank you, sir. Thank you. Unlockety-lockety, so that we don't have to sell out to Big Soda. There we go. Bernie Sanders, in an interesting exchange with ABC, stormed out of the interview after being asked what I thought was a fairly straightforward question.
Back when I first came to the Congress and the House, I helped form the Progressive Caucus. We had 5 people at that time. Now they got close to 100. So you got a whole lot of good people. Alexandra is extraordinary. I am so impressed by her work in Congress and she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her join in the Senate?
Right now we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
No, I asked you.
Okay.
You want to do nonsense? Do nonsense.
No.
I don't want to talk about inside the Beltway stuff. I got 32,000 people.
I was just asking you about AOC because she was out there with you.
No, fine. But I don't want to talk about this. What was the last question?
I was just going to ask you one more question about you. I mean, that's all. I was literally your last.
What is your question?
Well, I mean, it's easier if you're sitting.
It's easier if you're sitting. Awkward.
I mean, I want to ask you about your future. This is the biggest crowd. You said you ran for president twice. This is the biggest crowd you've ever seen. Are we going to see you run again? Or what's your future?
Right now, I am very proud that the people of the state of Vermont sent me back to the Senate with 63% of the vote. Right now, I'm Vermont senator. That's what I do, and I'm very happy to do it. I am 83 years of age, and I'm tired.
Okay, yeah, we're tired of you, Bernie. That's enough. Thanks, Steelbringer. $10 raised towards the $75 goal. I bought a couple of Gulf of America towels that are coming in very soon. I'm very excited about this because it's beach time, baby. Is anybody else doing spring break? Spring break. See that movie, Spring Breakers? Actually pretty good. I recommend it. Oh, another movie that I would recommend. Actually, Stephanie and I, for the first time ever, we finished Game of Thrones. I watched the finale, and honestly, I had watched the whole series before, but not the finale because everybody talks smack. I actually thought the finale was good. But movie recommendation, we will be talking about Snow White later. Yes, speaking of movies, but movie recommendation for you guys if you have HBO or Max as they call it. The Hugh Grant movie, Heretic, very scary, very good, very interesting, fun little horror film, psychological thriller, what have you. I don't know what they call these days. Everything's like a subgenre. So Hugh Grant film, Heretic, scary movie, definitely an adult film, rated R, but great movie, definitely recommend. Very few movies I see and I'm like, oh, this is a good film, and I'm really like, drawn in by this one. But Heretic did a great job. So Vermont is full of tards, says Mighty Megatron. Yes, Vermont. New Hampshire. But here's the thing. Bernie Sanders, he gets up, he storms out of the interview, and then he starts to chastise the ABC reporter, and he says, I'm not going to do the inside the Beltway stuff. I kind of understand. Honestly, I kind of understand. I sort of understand where Bernie is coming from. It is kind of a stupid question. You know, is AOC, she's going to run for Senate, right? He's just the horse trading stuff. I mean, Bernie, the old communist that he is, a little Trotskyite, right? He's just... He just wants to talk about how he can destroy everyone's lives through socialism and make everyone equally starving, and how to punish. He just wants to ensure that there's not multiple types of deodorant. That there's that there should only be one deodorant company in the United States that should be allowed to operate. People have far too many choices. Right? That's all he wants to focus on. He doesn't want to talk about that inside the Beltway stuff because he's too focused on making everyone's lives miserable in this country. And doing deals with Josh Hawley and Anna Paulina Luna or whoever. Who are the Republicans who've been collaborating with Bernie?
Bernie is back.
Hey, Mr. Trump, people fought and died to create a democratic society. You're not going to take it away from us.
83-year-old independent Senator Bernie Sanders is drawing crowds even bigger than he did as a presidential candidate.
Feeling the burn.
Yeah. For the past month, Sanders has taken his fight against President Donald Trump on the road. He's billing it the Fighting Oligarchy Tour.
We will not allow America to become an oligarchy.
In Denver, the anti-Trump sentiment was strong.
Oh, I think it's a disaster. And he talks about he has a
Denver has fallen.
mandate. He never had a mandate.
But so was the frustration with Democrats.
How's the Democratic Party doing challenging this?
They got to be a little tougher.
Quit being a bunch of doormats.
It feels like we're left stranded when everything.
Democrats hate the Democrats. It's amazing. It's morning in America again. Oh, Bernie.
Yeah, I mean, I think cracking down on fentanyl, making sure our borders are stronger. Look, nobody thinks illegal immigration is appropriate. Look, I think that the wall is an absurd idea. I think it's a waste of money. I think it just fans Trump's illusions. America cannot simply build walls. We look foolish to the rest of the world. We look foolish to Mexico.
So we're going to end the ICE raids, which are terrorizing communities all across this country.
Okay.
We are going to impose a moratorium on deportations.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think cracking down on fentanyl, making sure our borders are stronger. Look, nobody thinks illegal immigration is appropriate. Look.
Really? Oh, really? Comrade. Oh, goodness. Democrats are in big, big trouble. Make sure you're reading my columns that come out every week at humanevents.com that I have been chronicling the downfall of the recent Democratic Party. It's because men like these are the leaders. Look at him drinking that sugary soda. Is Tim Walz getting money from Big Mountain Dew?
What can we possibly do about it?
That's why you got that big sloppy gut there and huge double chin, and you're looking kind of greasy, Tim Walz, drinking all them Mountain Dews.
What can we possibly do about Elon Musk? Because it's not right.
It is not right.
Dude, how are you going to... Listen, this is like, I know this is nerdy stuff, but if you're giving a speech or if you're like up on stage and you're talking to an audience or something like that, the last thing that you should be drinking is sugary soda. That's because you see him, he gets done, he drinks that, then his throat is coated with this slime, this sugary slime, and rather than like freeing you up to talk, I mean, as somebody who talks for a living, rather than free him up to talk, he is now like fighting not only his tired throat and his tired, larynx, but his larynx is fighting all of the sugary slime that he's drinking right there. And then his stomach is fighting the bubbles. So he's burping, he's fighting through the slime. This is the worst thing that you could be doing if you're giving a stage. This just goes to show you what a bozo this guy is. Look at him taking the drink of the Mountain Dew. Like, you drink water, Tim. You ran for vice president of the United freaking States of a major party. Look at your stinking gut.
What can we possibly do about Elon Musk? Because it's not right.
It is not right. And this guy bugs me in a way that is probably unhealthy. And but
this is why Elon's our guy, man. You got to keep Elon in the coalition. Don't run him off.
I have to be careful about being a smartass. I was making a joke. These people have no sense of humor. They are the most literal people. But my point was they're all mad, and I, said something I didn't, probably shouldn't have about a company. He is agreed. So I make the case. They're all butthurt about the Tesla thing, but they don't care the disrespect they have shown to employees at the Minneapolis VA who care for our veterans, and they fire them. They don't care. So we will have the conversation about efficiency in government and about doing that, but none of us believe for a second they're thinking about this. Oh, we fired everybody that's dealing with Ebola. And then he went into the Oval Office wearing a hat. I don't ever want to hear anybody talk about decorum and respect or that. Wearing a hat, coming in there, richest man in the world. Again, this maybe just me. If I'm the richest man in the world, I'm like out on the streets handing out the money. It'd be fun as hell just to help people out.
That's why you're not the richest man in the world and you don't understand economics, Tim. That's why. Oh, God. These are the Democrats. This is America. Welcome to the Wake Up America show, guys. We've raised $15 towards the $75 goal by the end of the show to unlock the bonus content. Thank you, Steelbringer, Will Run Riot, Dad Bod Baboon. Drop those Rumble rants or go to forlibertyshop.com. Help to unlock the bonus content today. We get a little something from me, a little something for you. Go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. At forlibertyshop.com, you guys can see our incredible Gulf of America collection. And it's time for us to go to the beach. Why not? Let's go to the Gulf of America. Let's go to the beach. Let's go away. At forlibertyshop.com, again, that's the number 4libertyshop.com. We have the best Gulf of America collection in the universe. You can also see our beach towels. If you type in towels up in the search bar, it will show you all the towels. But our newest Don't Tread on Me beach towel is a winner. I think this is one of our most beautiful products. You can get, it's big and it's fluffy. We have it in 30 by 60 inches. Don't Tread on Me beach towels, available at forlibertyshop.com. Toss that in your cart and then head down to the Gulf of America collection. Toss one of the Gulf of America shark beach towels in your cart. We have that one in 2 sizes. We're still trying to get 2 sizes, the larger size for the Don't Tread on Me version. The Gulf of America pirate flag beach towel, I ordered that one this week as well. Order some nice Gulf of America merch for the upcoming spring-summer season and be the coolest cat at the beach on the Gulf of America. This is America. John Miltimore coming up live here in just about 7 minutes. We're going to speak to him this morning about the attacks on Teslas and vandalism of Tesla dealerships across the country. We're also going to talk to him about this news story that came out. American women are giving up marriage. They're giving up on the concept of marriage.
No, God, please, no.
Yeah. We'll talk about that with John Miltimore and more, but and then after that we'll hit the Rachel Zegler Snow White controversy, which I believe it's already considered a flop in theaters over the weekend for its earnings. We're going to talk about that story after John Miltimore. But this headline over the Wall Street Journal got my attention. American women are giving up on marriage. Major demographic shifts have put men and women on divergent paths. That's left more women resigned to being single. The numbers aren't netting out. We're going to talk about that today. We'll hear your thoughts. Remember, you can weigh in on that and more by sending us a text at 573-319-1586. The text lines are open anytime, night or day. If you have a question about your order over at forlibertyshop.com, the number forlibertyshop.com, you can send us a text at that number as well, 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. One time when I was a young man, I was with my mom's best friend. We were in the car ordering Chinese food. And it was a drive-through Chinese food place, which was kind of rare at the time to have something like that. This is before Panda Expresses had like come in and taken over the country. But we're going through the drive-through. Thank you, Andy, for the donation, bud. We're going through the drive-through, and we order our meal at the drive-through, kind of like you would at like a Wendy's or a McDonald's, right? And then you pull around to the side to pick up your order. So we make our order, and Chinese food, of course, takes a lot longer than regular fast food. So we go around and we wait at the window, and my mom's friend, Paula, was looking at the window and like expectantly waiting for our order. And then when the order came, it was kind of complicated. We were buying for a lot of different people. And so she checked the order, and it was all the wrong stuff. It was all different. She goes, oh, here's, she's handing us this. And Paula is like, this is the wrong order. And the Chinese lady, ostensibly, could be Vietnamese, could be Thai, could be Cambodian, could be Japanese, for all we know, right? But Chinese woman, ostensibly, handed her, her food and handed us our food, and she says, this is your order. This is your order. And Paula goes, this is not our order. This is not our order. And so she gave it back, and the Chinese woman like looks very confused and kind of angry and flustered and sad. She goes, this is your order. This is your order. And Paula goes, this is not what I ordered. She goes, I ordered this and this and this and this. And then she goes, and then the Chinese lady looks at her and she goes, how you know what you order? Excuse me? How you know what you order? And for ever since I was like, I think I was like 14 or something like that when that happened. But it's forever a family inside joke. Now, whenever if we go to a drive-thru or something like that, or if we order something that like in the Peterson household, there's like, how you know what you order? How you know what you order? What do you mean? How do I know what I ordered? How you know what you order? I ordered it. All right, Austin, enough with the racist jokes. Wake Up America show is $35 raised towards the $75 goal. We're going to hit it by the end of the show. Thanks to you gughs. Go shopping at forlibertyshop.com, where we never ask if you need a return. How you know what you order? We know what you order. You know what you order. You order some more. You order John Milton more. We'll be right back. Don't be racist. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian, and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.
Have a politics that says all white people are racist, all men are toxic, and all billionaires are evil. It's kind of hard to keep them on your side. And so we might want to think about, if you're chasing people out of the party, you can't be mad when they leave. And maybe if we had a different politics, we actually said dignity for everybody, everybody's respected, and we need you, more people might stay.
Singing a different tune these days, are you? Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and that's on the 4 Liberty Network, the number 4 Liberty Network, where our 4 Liberty merch shop keeps us grifting. We call it the Grift Shop. No, it's not really very grifty. It's not like being an influencer where you're against government regulations And then you take a bunch of money from Big Soda to say, oh, we should have Coca-Cola to be able to be purchased with our SNAP cards and our SNAP benefits. No. It's a principled kind of conservative libertarianism that doesn't get the big sponsorships, because I don't think government should be funding soda. I don't care. If you're poor people and you're on the government cheese, it should literally be government cheese. Just cheese. And let's be honest, I don't even believe in that. You should have to go down to your local parish and ask your priest for a hot meal on a cold day. It's Monday, which means that we're going to reach the high priest of libertarianism. John Miltimore joins us live every Monday on the Wake Up America show. So often we call it Mondays with Miltimore. Father of liberty, father of freedom. John, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to be with you, AP. How's Monday treating you?
Okay, my intros to my guests ad-libbed aren't the best yet, but I'm working on it. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be with you, man.
We got a lot to talk about, John. We were so, chomping at the bit to talk about the second topic, which is why American women are giving up on marriage, that you and I were talking about it behind the scenes, and I was like, all right, we got to hold on to that conversation because that's a good one. We need to talk about that. We will. But we've got the first topic, which is all of this terrorism. I call it terrorism because it fits the literal definition of terrorism. Some people might not call it such. But these acts of vandalism, firebombing with Molotov cocktails, Tesla dealerships, this is an outbreak of violence that needs a swift crackdown. It needs to be put down, and people need to be made examples of, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, no, it's serious stuff, and it does fit the definition of domestic terrorism. Now, I do have some. We need to be thoughtful about this. I've always had a problem with some of these crimes we define as terrorism, or as another example, hate crimes, right? I kind of liked America when you treated a crime as a crime and tried not to look at the underlying motives somebody might have. Maybe a guy that keyed a car, was he doing it out of reasons for because he hates Elon Musk, or did he hate the person driving the car, right? And that's what you have to do. You get the federal government involved in those questions. I think that there's problems with that when you get the feds involved in local crime like this. But yeah, I think it is clear these people are targeting Elon Musk. They don't like his politics. They don't like Doge. They don't like what's going on with government, and he's become a focal point of that, and that's dangerous. I think, especially when you're talking about throwing explosives at car dealerships, I've seen, videos in Washington, in Las Vegas. This is around the country, by the way. People need to understand this. This isn't a one-off. This is widespread, attacks on Teslas for political reasons, and yeah, that fits the definition of domestic terrorism. And we got to tread very carefully here. We don't want in America that does these things. Like we need to, we need to not just bring justice, but people need to understand. And I'm talking to my friends on the left. You need to understand that we need to condemn this and make sure that this isn't acceptable.
I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but when I see attacks like these arise, I tend to think that they may not necessarily be spontaneous, right? When I saw during the 2020 George Floyd riots that there would be crates of bricks that would show up, and trust me, construction of course goes on all the time, but it just so happened that pallets of bricks and things happen to show up. It leaves, and all of these billions of dollars, John, the deep state, in terms of what they're going after, I believe that it's money laundering operations at most of these bureaucracies, that they go back to NGOs. I mean, if you spent any time in Washington, D.C., it's kind of an open secret that taxpayer money goes to bureaucracies that then funnel it into NGOs that then donate that money to either Democrats or Democratic causes. American taxpayer dollars, it's a very, very thin, veil of the transfer of wealth from the American taxpayer to Democrat causes. So when you see these kinds of riots emerging across the country, or these kinds of they had an incident that occurred over the weekend. It's not just Karens taking, like you said, not just taking keys and keying up vehicles. I mean, where people are getting confronted in public, and somebody's going to get shot, right? They're going to get the wrong Tesla owner at some point. But I understand the desire not to label everything domestic terrorism or hate crimes or special acts of crimes. But here's the thing, John. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been a youth leader or taught have you ever had to teach a class with kids or been a substitute teacher or anything?
Yes.
Well, okay, good. Yeah. So then you probably know this, right? And this is the first test of leadership, one of the first tests of leadership in my mind. I wonder if you would agree with me about this. And this is what I was thinking about this morning when I posted this tweet in terms of what I think, how punitive we should be of these Tesla people who are, firebombing Tesla dealerships. But one of the first tests of leadership is how you punish misbehavior in the ranks. So from my days substitute teaching to leading campaigns, teaching martial arts classes, the sad truth is that the fastest route to discipline and order is to make a harsh example of the first person that falls out of line. Then you can be nice. Otherwise, people will take advantage of your good nature if you don't let them know that your kindness should not be perceived as weakness. How do you respond?
Well, let me just say, I think you're right. The problem is that's a lesson the government has really learned well. And let's go back to January 6th. Why do you think the punishments there were so, and I'm going to use the word draconian, right? Like they were, some of these punishments were ridiculous, but that same mentality was being applied there. So we're going to go after them hammer and tong, right? We're going to go over the top, and we're going to send a message to those, 350 Americans that they come to DC and we are going to bring the hammer down. And I think that was part of the problem. But I'm with you on the psychology. Yeah, this is how government works. You make examples. You can't prosecute everyone. But think about a simple example, speeding, right? Everybody speeds all the time. Everybody, but you got to every once in a while go get that one guy that's going 10 over and write him a ticket. And that makes the system work, because now is the law being applied unequally in that? Kind of, yeah. Because this guy was just going 15 over, didn't get ticketed. This guy going 12 over, he gets ticketed. But that makes the system work because you're laying out that example. But in this sense, yes, they got to find some of the people doing this, and they got to charge them, and they got to send a signal that we're not going to allow you to attack, automobile dealerships and throw Molotov cocktails at Teslas. And that's what happened. I think there was 8 this is according to the DOJ, 8 Molotov cocktails thrown at vehicles. And let's not forget, these EVs are highly explosive, and once they go up, they're really hard to put out. So this is not, some random, little vandalism. This is serious, serious crimes, and they do need to set an example. But that mentality, I'm just pointing out, it swings both ways, right? And in this, let's assume we do label this, domestic terrorism.
It swings both ways.
Going to.
I get it, but But here's the thing: it does swing both ways. But here's the thing: it doesn't swing both ways. It doesn't swing both ways. Here's why: because their side does it, and our side says don't do it, right? But if we do not get some leftists on the chopping block and on the metaphorical guillotine, and we don't, if we don't make some examples out of them, they will continue to persecute us the same way that they persecuted the January 6 people. They're not going to stop. You have to punch the bully in the nose. You have to, at some point, you have got to give them a taste of their own medicine, John. And this is why classical liberalism, libertarianism, right, liberalism, or anarchism, anarcho-capitalism, minarchism, Randianism, objectivism, it's on the way out. It's on the way out, right? Libertarianism is quickly becoming irrelevant. And the reason it's becoming irrelevant is because it has no teeth. It has no capability to defend itself. It won't even use the proper mechanisms, the tools of power that are put in place against criminals. Right? And there's this limiting principle. It doesn't need to be a limiting principle. They set a firebomb, right? This is a person who could be shot. This is a person who, if somebody held a Molotov cocktail and my life was in danger, I would mow them down with 20 rounds and sleep, cozy with my cozy AR-15 next to my bed. But if we capture them and we put them in jail, the punishment cannot be cruel and it cannot be unusual. But we must punish them harshly and to the full extent of the law because they are terrorists.
No, we're not in disagreement here. And I go back to 2020 when some of this stuff was happening at these protests around the country. And there was people in New York that threw Molotov cocktails and they were given off. The U.S. attorney that prosecuted them, and I don't remember if it came while Trump was president or when Biden was president. I think it was during Trump's presidency. They gave him a few months, right? And these were people that threw Molotov cocktails, and I was angry then. I'm a libertarian, I'm a classical liberal, but I am a pragmatic one, and I'm a practical one, and I do think we need to set an example here. And here's why the left, in particular, the left runs on their ends are justified, or their means are justified by their ends, right? You can go back to Marx and Trotsky, and you can see that mentality is baked into their philosophy. Trotsky went and justified the murder of children, the Tsar's children, and he writes, because, well, he goes off on this long explanation for it, but he said that the means are justified by the ends, but those ends must be realized, right? And so that's he spells it out, but the end must be realized. And so for the Marxist brain, if this brings about the socialist utopia, if this brings down the Trump administration, they think this stuff's okay. And it's not okay, and you need to bring, like I hope Pam Bondi does make an example out of people throwing Molotov cocktails, and I think they should go to prison for a long time.
Well, agreed. Yes. So let's say we finish that one and we agree. This next story, John, it's funny. You and I both zeroed in on it. We didn't have to coordinate for this because you suggested this story to me, and I already had it in my rundown to talk about after you were on. But I was like, okay, if you're keen on it, then let's discuss it. Big story in the Wall Street Journal came out on Saturday. American women are giving up on marriage. Major demographic shifts have put men and women on divergent paths. That's left more women resigned to being single. The numbers aren't netting out. Depressing, John. Very depressing article. You want to give us a Reader's Digest version and your take?
Yeah, I read this yesterday afternoon. I was just browsing the journal, and it was the top story on the page, and I read it. And it's great reporting by Rachel Wolf.
Yeah.
But it's also very, very sad. And I say this because marriage, I'm a marriage evangelist. I was single in my 20s. I dated, my wife during that time, but also other women. My life got better when I got married. And I tell people, I'm like, marriage makes you better. Again, don't do it in a cavalier way. You need to marry the right person. But if you do it right, like my advice is don't wait. I was 30 when I got married. Don't wait so long. If you find the right person, don't worry. Your career stuff, you'll get that figured out. I kept thinking I needed my career, everything had to be perfect before you got married. Well, life isn't going to usually work that way. But meeting the right person, they're going to help you achieve those things, because marriage brings order to your life. So as I'm reading the Wall Street Journal, it's just all these young women, they've been fed lies, right? I think and they're also focused on putting career up here and family down here. And some men, you realize like they broke up with men because men said, I think the family should be up here and career should be here. To me, that I don't care if you're a man or a woman, your family should be your highest priority, and work is part of that. But and then you got the toxic element, like toxic masculinity is something we've heard over and over and over. This piece was focused not on men, and men probably have their own. Men are complicit in this too, but the women interviewed in this story, I thought, were kind of repulsive.
Yeah,
and that's a harsh thing to say, but there was people who said, well, I'm not going to bother dating anymore because it's too hard to get an abortion now. What if I get pregnant and things like this? And I'm like, they've really lost the plot here. Marriage can make you better, but you have to. Here's the other. The victim mentality is here. Like you see, they're always pointing the finger at the men. Nobody was pointing anything here, right? And saying like, maybe how desirable am I? And for single people listening, they might take umbrage at this, but I think it is a mentality. When people just always want to blame others for their situation, it's not me; it's the dating pool.
That's that high,
some men are doing that too.
That's that high external locus of control, right? Yes. It's that kind of that mindset of of I am not in charge of my destiny. The decisions that I make are not the ones that are affecting the outcomes. It's the Jews why I can't get a date. The Jews.
You're 100%. You're letting externalities determine your fate, right? Because it's just this problem here. That's why I can't be happy.
It's the
You're telling me
Masons.
there's nobody in the whole dating pool that is up to your standards? I know dating can be tough, but come on.
Let me break down the key points for the audience, and then we can bat it back and forth. Research suggests more women are choosing to stay single, with the percentage of single women aged 18 to 40 increasing from 41.8% in 2000 to 51.4% in 2023. So 20 years later, a 10% increase in single women aged 18 to 40, the prime childbearing years. So the majority of women now who can have kids are choosing not to get married. Single women do report higher happiness compared to married women, with over half believing they are happier, of course. That's from a survey done by the American Enterprise Institute. The evidence leans towards decreased interest in finding a romantic partner among single women, with only 34% looking for romance compared to 54% of single men. In other words, men are interested. Men are trying to have married women have babies. Women's increased education and financial independence likely lead to higher expectations for partners, allowing them to prioritize other life aspects. Now, there are so many misogynist implications to this. John, when I say misogynist, I don't really mean hating women, but what qualifies as hating women these days. Because here's the thing. How do you put the genie back in the bottle? If you're like me and you have daughters, do you send them to college, right? If you want to be philosophically, intellectually consistent, do you send them to those Marxist meatpacking organizations? Or do you raise your daughter to be a farm girl, a country girl, and tell her to find a good man and marry him and let him take care of her and live happily ever after? Because if you say men are complicit in this, we're raising these daughters. We're raising these women. And we're raising these daughters to be like this. And as the father of a daughter, I have a lot of important psychological questions and hang-ups and things I'm going to have to deal with here with my daughter upcoming, John. I'll be honest. I don't know what the right thing to do is here, right? How do you, as a man, make the right decision as a father for what you do with your? Because I know a lot of conservative men send their daughters to college and then regret it, and then they come out, hating their father and shaving their sides of their head and the other side's purple and all that kind of shit. And it's, they got daddy issues. So I mean, being a good dad's important, but I mean, college can undo a lot of good parenting, it seems, John.
I'm going to say, college cannot undo a lot of good parenting. And that's going to be my advice to you. You have 18 years with your daughter, and you're going to help her create a foundation of values and how she sees the world. And in my experience, if you do that, no university, however Marxist it is going to be able to destroy that. But you need to do the work. You need to make sure that your child isn't a blank slate when they go off to college, right? You need to be instilling good values of responsibility, I think of faith, as a Christian man. Like my daughter is 13. I don't worry. I don't know if she'll go to college, but I don't worry if she does. That girl has a firm foundation. And that brings me a lot of happiness and relief. But if you don't do that, they will be the purple head shave, like they could easily slip into that in college where they're fed a different worldview, Marxist, neo-Marxist, nihilism. And I think you have a lot of young people, not just young women, but young people who go off to college and they don't have that foundation. They are basically a blank slate. And their minds are warped by what they encounter there, by some of these professors.
One of my friends over there in the chat says, Austin, you often talk about how you got the last helicopter out of Saigon. During the commercial break, I asked you how long ago you got married. You got married 15 years ago. I got married just a few years ago. And You did you have dating apps when you were still out in the dating world? Was there like Tinder or anything like that existed?
It
Or
existed,
it was like
but
Match.com. Did you do any online dating app stuff?
I never did online dating,
Okay.
and here's the thing: like one of my best friends did meet his wife through an online dating, during that time, but it was still kind of. I remember us kind of smirking because at the time there was an association with online dating. You couldn't meet somebody at the bar, or the church, or something, so you had to go get online. There was just this stigma attached to it, which isn't there today.
That's correct. But you were saying earlier, you were like, oh, just get married young, don't wait, get married. I mean, John, you sound like the youth pastor, no offense. And
That's
I mean,
not what I'm saying.
You did say that.
I wouldn't say
you
that.
did say that. But here's the thing. Rewind the tape.
I said, here's my advice.
Yeah, well, okay. But
my advice.
The problem
Don't be
is
afraid to get married.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, I'll give you that. Right. We'll rewind that back later, maybe on the replay, but we'll see. But they can't get married. First of all, the women aren't interested, as this 51%, 18 to 40, they're not interested. They think they'll be happier if they don't get married. Young men are interested, right? The dating world, and we've talked about this a little bit before, the dating app situation has royally screwed young men especially, but women who are interested in actually dating and meeting people, they're also in a bad position too, because of the way the hierarchy works now. You see, John, there used to be a very clear cut relationship between men and women, and we liberated women from their gender roles, but we did not liberate men from their gender roles. But the only, I will say that's not in entirely. We have liberated some men from some gender roles. Homosexual men are obviously not a part of this, right? I'm only talking about heterosexual relationships, right? But the only men who are liberated from their gender roles are transsexuals, right? Or transgenders. Or homosexual men who don't care and they don't need to date a woman, so they don't need to do the peacocking, they don't need to do the old traditional sort of like courtship. So men are still bound by traditional rules of courtship, John. You see this all the time. They still want you to pay. They make more money than you, but they want you to pay on the first date, right? So this article specifically from the Wall Street Journal talks about the problems of the increased expectations. So even the women who are interested in dating, even the women who are, so let's exclude the 51% who aren't, of the 49 or whatever that do want to date, that do want to date a man, their expectations, I mean, they're at a 10, I need you at a 2. It's so out of whack, John. And if you don't experience it up close and in personal, it can be, it's shocking, John. So my wife and I, we've been married for a few years. We dated for like a year and a half or so before we got married or whatever. So I around 2000 and I would say 2019, I think, is when I got out of the dating market, pretty much, right? 2019, 2020, and it was shocking. Here's the thing. There's a really great line from this movie. I don't know what it is. It's maybe like Precious or something. And this big chunky black girl is like being rude to the teacher. And the teacher calls her up to the front of class and says, you can be fat or you can be a bitch, but you can't be both, right? And that's a really important lesson, because if you're going to be fat, you should be jolly. But there's really, like, you watch these TikTok videos of these porcine creatures who demand Christian Grey levels of wealth and of sexual pleasure, and it's like, woman, you've done nothing with your life. They still have the demands and expectations of being a fat pig and not doing anything, and the man has to provide everything, but they offer nothing but their Marxism, their college degrees, their bad attitudes. They can't cook. They won't clean, right? They're woke. They're harder left than you've ever imagined. For men, it's worse than Vietnam for these men. It's worse. It's Bastogne, right, for these young men, right? It is for these young men in this 18 to 40 age. Yes, men have a lot to do with it, but it's more men of our generation and older now who have to bear responsibility for the generation of women that we created to some extent, right, as they reach 18. I'm 44, so a lot of men my age do have like 18-year-old kids and stuff now, right? But you got to think of these young men and what they face, John. They are facing more than minefields. They are facing, it's like the last stand for some of these young men who do want to have what you say they should have. So, like, what message do you have for young men that you can base not in adult pastor, youth pastor kind of terms, but like acknowledge the struggle that they're facing and like help us to, do you see any path out? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Like, how would you chart a course?
Yes. But I got to push back a little bit. Like, I don't want it to be like women are the sole problem here. I don't doubt that people experience exactly what you're talking about.
I didn't say women are the sole problem. I said that our generation of men and older are responsible for the women that we've created and what we've allowed.
But you went on like a soliloquy about how how many of these progressive women and toxic and yes. I'm sure that's there. Men also, and how unreal their expectations are. I think the same problem exists with men.
No.
I think it does.
No, it does not. No, it does not. They are the problem.
But it does exist.
No, John, they are the problem.
You're saying the women are the problem.
Yes, I am saying the women are the problem. I'm saying that when you have a woman who has had a life of entitlement and says that and who is a 2 and is demanding a 10, the expectations are skewed. She is the problem.
Now, here's what you also have to recognize, that you have a generation of young men who've grown up watching porn and just wanting one thing, a beautiful woman, and that they're going to find that, and if somebody doesn't meet all of these characteristics, they're not good enough. Like the Andrew Tate stuff, there's all these young men being sort of brainwashed by that too. That is a problem. Like I'm going to acknowledge that as a problem as well. But here's the good thing: is if you're a young woman listening to this or a young man, here's the great part. Now, again, I said I didn't do online dating. Okay, so I don't know how all this works. I don't want to pretend I'm an expert in something I'm not. But you can filter for some of this stuff, right? And guess what? You can reject online dating completely. You can meet someone the old-fashioned way, and maybe that's a better way. Like I get, you know what? It would have been fun if Tinder was really popular when I was in my 20s and I was on it and I was single. I might have had a lot of trouble with Tinder because you can go and just pick out all the eye candy you want. And you can go have dates. You can have kind of frivolous relationships.
No,
I think all of that's kind of.
No, you can't. No, you can't. I might be able to.
You're telling me no guys have used Tinder that way?
No. Only the top 5% can use Tinder that way. The way that you've described, John, and this is, again, this
Are
is...
you implying I'm not the top 5%, Austin?
Yes. Yes. You know why? You know why? Because... You
should have saw me in my 20s. I was a lot lighter than I am now.
It's not your looks. You got to have good looks. You got to have, it's not about even just the looks. You have to have, good looks are the basis, right? You have to pass that swipe test in the beginning. But after that, you have to have texting game. Like you have to, I imagine maybe you're sly, right? We've never texted or sexted before, John. But you like, if you hit her with a hey or a what's up, you're done. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're cute. They get the ick. Like the list of icks, the female icks is long, right? If it's raining outside and you don't have an umbrella, if you raise your shoulders up like that, that gives women the ick. And it grows longer and longer. And here's the thing, there's an evolutionary basis for this, John. There's an evolutionary psychology basis for this, right? Women are choosy, right? They're more selective. So naturally, they're the ones who are having the pool of available men to choose from. They're the ones who are going to get to decide, not the men. The men in our society do not get to choose, right? Only the top 5% who can look good in the photo, have Riz, the charisma in the chat, the text game, then actually get a woman to commit to agree to show up to a date, have her actually show up, which most of the, 50-50 chance she's not even going to show up. And then that she actually looks like her picture and is not a catfish herself and has, mental health games. I mean, we're talking about needles and haystacks, John. Needles and haystacks.
I do think you're onto something here. And this is something I thought of when I was reading this article yesterday here. And this is something we didn't talk about, how government created this imbalance. And when I say, this imbalance, it's kind of what you're talking about. Not only are women kind of in the place where they can be choosy, women now have all the income power. I say all the income power, I'm exaggerating, but that has changed a lot in the last 15 years. And I'm not trying to say women shouldn't be working. My wife works. Sometimes, many years of our marriage, my wife made more money than me. I wasn't threatened by that. I was actually happy by that. but that imbalance has gotten worse, and it's gotten worse through DEI, where we're going to not just say women can be in the workforce, we're going to make sure women have an extra leg up, right? That we're going to make sure that there's a candidate either way. We're going to get the person that's considered a minority in the system, the one who's the protected class, and all of that kind of made this imbalance between men and women that has been going on for millennia. That it made that imbalance worse, and now you got women up here. And if you read that article yesterday, a lot of women they kind of looked at disgust at their boyfriend who they made twice as much as, right? And they, and I get it. If I was dating one time in my life, I dated a girl. This is, before I was married, and she made quite a bit more money than me. I was threatened by that a little bit. That was kind of a challenging thing for me. And so I think if you add that component, even if the woman isn't like lording it over you, I think a lot of men themselves might be kind of threatened by that. And I said maybe justifiably. It's kind of a weird thing. But my point is that the government took that and it kind of did this, and that I think has helped create this dynamic where women are just sort of disgusted with the dating pool, and it's the bottom line is it's not a good thing when you got half of women just saying no, I don't need to be married, and what I'm going to do is just raise my child on my own. Like one woman in the story was she's got a special savings account, I don't know if it has preferred tax status or not, but just to raise her child by herself. I'm not going to tell her she can't do that. I will say, as a father of 3, raising children is difficult.
Yeah, don't recommend it.
Imagine doing it all by myself.
Yeah, definitely do not recommend it. I definitely do not recommend that kind of scenario because I don't think it's good for the kids either, right? Two parents in the home, you're going to get the best outcome for the children. And is that what all of human history was like? No. Did we have bigger extended families? Yes. Are there problems from the fact that we all seem to split apart and we segment when we used to have larger and extended families, all living in homes that were all near one another, and now we're all sort of atomized as a culture? Yes. I think that it is an unfortunate fact that these young men, they have to work twice as hard for women that are half as good or worse than their grandmothers, right? My grandmothers were amazing. And one grandma was like the typical Christian housewife, sweeter than Snow White, the original Snow White movie, not the remake, which we're going to get to in just a few minutes. And then my other grandma, she had to divorce her husband who was my biological grandfather, because he was abusive to her. He beat her, and she was afraid that he was going to do it to my mother and my uncle. So she left, and she found another good man who ended up being a war hero, amazing guy from Kansas City, who became my real grandpa, the one that we always thought of as grandfather. But her toughness was conveyed onto my mother, and my mother conveyed onto me a bit of the smart alecky, a little bit of the sass, because, the Magnuses, my mother and my grandmother, they were sweet ladies, but they didn't take no shit either. But they were still women. They were still sweet. They were soft and kind. Yeah, they had a little bit of sass to them, but they still understood like the proper role of a woman in the relationship of a heterosexual relationship between a woman and a man. And this attempt to redefine gender itself is also at the root of this problem in my mind, right? And I won't go off into a soliloquy here because we've already gone 7 minutes over, and I got to get into ripping on the new Snow White that came out, John. And it's a good conversation, but I would invite you to consider to not both sides this thing or play the Soviet game of whataboutism, because are there problems with the men? Sure. But I think that women unleashed, completely liberated from their gender roles, without a male, what's the word I'm looking for, antecedent or a male version of men's lib, right? Which I think is even more chaos in a way, right? Without saying, well, you can't have women totally liberated and men still in chains to the old gender roles. So you either have to deliberate women or you have to liberate men. And honestly, I don't think society will flourish necessarily from men who are liberated from their gender roles. I actually think that's a recipe for disaster. So I'll give you the final word on that, respond to that, and then plug anything you like before we let you go. Sorry I kept you so long.
Not at all. No. So I think you're right. Like I'm not trying to do like a both a whataboutism or anything like that. I think some of the social implications you discuss are real. But my only pushback on that is let's go back to what we were talking about earlier. If we give young men this message that, look, it's not you, it's just those crazy broads, right? Like it's all those women out there that they have, that's not a helpful message either. I get like, whether you're a young woman or a young man, you've encountered some frustrations in the dating pool. I get it. But I'm not going to say like, okay, they're the big problem and you're the little problem. Or maybe I can say that, but if you're in the dating pool, you can find someone, right? I just believe that. Like, don't give up on the dating pool. Maybe you're not looking right, but don't give up on it. Try, if you're online, that's not working. Try meeting someone in a bar, or better yet, why don't you meet someone in a church group? Don't just settle for this idea that like, okay, I'm doing fine. The problem is just the dating pool, and that's it. That is not a mentality that's going to help anyone. It's a big dating pool. That's the good part. So maybe just tweak your strategy, look a little bit differently instead of just walking away and saying to hell with that.
Well, I think you're onto something. Give me your plug, John, and then I'll go on another soliloquy.
Yeah, check out all my content on Substack. I'm The Take by John Miltimore. My Substack's growing, and I love to share my thoughts there as well.
There we go. Thank you very much, John. We appreciate you very much. Thanks. Mondays with Miltimore.
Hey, have a good week, AP. Talk to you later.
You too. Take care.
A place of fairness, like the Queen. Change everything.
Take him away!
Your Majesty.
What did you say?
The people need some kindness.
I really don't remember you being this opinionated. Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
Famed is thy beauty, Majesty. But a lovely maiden I now behold.
I look at you, and I just want to be the fairest of them all.
The Queen is evil. You must flee into the woods.
My parents always said this forest was a magical place. Hello? Is there anybody here?
It's a human.
What did you think I was?
Nothing. Ghost.
You'll be safe from the Queen here.
The Queen stole everything from all of us. We're gonna need your help. It's time to restore our kingdom.
Waiting on a wish, holding out for someday, hoping somehow, some way, there comes a miracle.
Find Snow White.
I close my eyes and see the girl I meant to be.
This is our kingdom, and now we're here to take it back.
You were saying. I'm sorry, my dear. Did I frighten you?
Good morning, rise and freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Once upon a time, a studio remade a beloved classic fairy tale, but instead of magic mirrors and true love's kiss, they conjured up culture wars, identity politics, and a $300 million price tag that may go up in smoke. Disney's new Snow White was supposed to be a modern reimagining. Instead, it became a Rorschach test for Hollywood's culture war neurosis. If you're joining the Wake Up America show live now for the very first time, good morning. Welcome to the show. It's nice to see Drake, our boy Drake, in the chat. First time dropping a comment. First time I've seen you here. We always like to welcome the new names and faces over there in the chat. Click the like button if you haven't already. Sign of Jonah says, people starving for content Well, watch it. That's how I found AP. JK. Love you guys. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Grizz Cheese, Luke Sacker, Mighty Megatron, Barney Styles, Joni Rankin, Dad Bod Baboon, T-Mill22. Guys, don't let the bonus content fall behind. It's a bad sign if we don't unlock the bonus content. We want the Wake Up America show to continue in perpetuity, right? So if we hit our financial goals each day, then I can say, okay, we're safe. The Wake Up America show will continue 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. We've hit $35 of the $75 goal to unlock today's bonus content. I know you want to see our mini documentary, so drop those Rumble rants. Drop those Rumble rants or go to forlibertyshop.com and make a purchase this morning. Buy yourself a box of our delicious Founding Flavors coffee. Thomas's Painkiller or Madisonian Morning, a couple of my favorites sitting out there. Absolutely delicious coffee and patriotic merchandise available at forlibertyshop.com. And every purchase that's made during the show counts towards the total to unlock the bonus content. So go to forlibertyshop.com. We've raised $35 of the $75 goal. And if we hit $75 by the end of the show, which is 15 minutes away, whoops, I don't know if we'll make it. Bad sign if we don't, though. We definitely want to hit it and unlock that bonus content. That is a sign of life, sign of health for the Wake Up America show. So if you say to yourself, I don't want Austin and Stephanie to go away, I want the For Liberty Network to grow, then drop those Rumble rants in or go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number for libertyshop.com. There you go. $300 million to produce Snow White, only expected to pull in $50 in the opening weekend. Whoops. I wonder why. Rachel Zegler, the Latina actress who was cast as Snow White, may give us some clues in this interview she did on this, I think, 2 years ago.
No longer 1937. She's
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably 17 years. The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power. No longer 19.
Film also starred Gal Gadot, the former IDF soldier, hubba. And the production was plagued with delays. Hollywood strikes, fires, and reshoots plagued the production, blowing up the price tag, $300 million. It brought in $50 million on opening weekend. One of the most cringeworthy decisions, of course, was the decision to use CGI instead of dwarf actors, which alienated both sides. The dwarf actors were mad that they didn't have the opportunity to have speaking roles and maybe have a breakout role so they could be like Peter Dinklage, the what do we call them now? Little people star of Game of Thrones, who made his entire career on the back of a role that he played as a little person. But you know how Hollywood and how people are. Once they get famous and once they get big and rich, they love to pull up the ladder for the rest of us. No. I made my money in my career as an actor playing a little person in a little person role. But if you're going to have 7 dwarfs, I mean, come on, you shouldn't be allowed to do that, right? Tyrion from Game of Thrones, Peter Dinklage pulling up the ladder from anyone else from being able to succeed. And many little people actors in Hollywood were upset about the loss of opportunities because of the attempt not to offend anyone. They ended up offending everyone. You can't please everyone, and you shouldn't try. One of the most important lessons you can learn in your life. You can't please everyone, and you shouldn't try. Here's Rachel Zegler arguing for more money.
18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Oh, Rachel Zegler says, if I have to stand there in a dress, terrible, difficult work.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for
every hour that it is streamed online.
If I have to stand there 18 hours, then I deserve to be paid for every hour to be streamed online. You deserve whatever you negotiated in your contract. Am I right? I mean, like, 18 hours are, listen, as somebody who works in production, I've got an upcoming shoot coming up. We're probably going to put in 18-hour days. Yeah, it's stressful work. It's difficult. I'm not saying that you don't deserve to be paid for streaming. If you negotiate your contract and you're such a bankable star that they offer you points on the back end, then yeah, that, you know, if you manage to get some kind of a streaming deal on this that you get paid for streaming, sure. I'm not against people's right to strike or right to advocate in favor of themselves. But I mean, Rachel, are you going to be earning much money from streaming if nobody watches the Snow White streaming? I mean, now many of us remember the original Snow White, the original 1937 film. It was the first feature-length animated film ever made. It was considered the film that built Disney. It's the one that, because they said that it bought the lot. The adjusted gross of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, oh my God, dwarves, you call them a dwarf, oh my God. First is that $4 billion is the adjusted gross of the original 1937 film. And of course, the cultural impact cannot be overstated of the original Snow White film. Theme park rides, VHS sales, Disney's Princess Flywheel. Did anybody else go to Walt Disney World in the 1980s during kind of the golden age? From the 1960s, I think, until the 1980s, and especially in the 1980s. I think I went to Walt Disney World maybe 2 times as a kid, once when I was like a young kid, and then maybe once or maybe 2 more times, maybe in the early 90s before my mother passed away in like 97. I think we did go to Walt Disney World maybe one other time together. So early 90s, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Remember the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids ride and the experience that you would get that before woke was anything? I saw a really funny meme, by the way, the other day about the United States. It invents wokeism, exports wokeism to the rest of the world, then turns its back on wokeism and makes fun of the rest of the world for being big pussies, right? Which is kind of funny. It is ironic. The United States invents wokeism at our leftist universities. The rest of the world adopts it. And then the United States is like, nah, we're done with that shit. We learned our lesson. But you can't underestimate, you can't overstate the impact that Walt Disney's Snow White has had. It was everywhere and everything. Snow White's ride is still one of the most coveted line passes that you can get at Walt Disney World because of the nostalgia that people are floating on. And oh my God, if they change the Walt Disney's Snow White ride, it's not the Wild Ride. I think that's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Snow White's a Scary Adventure or whatever it is. I think it even used to be scarier, but they for modern audiences, they made it so it's less scary. Thank you, Maddie Megatron says, it was going to be the 7 magical people instead of dwarfs. Oh my God, no. Thanks for the donation, Megatron. That's $37 towards a $75 goal. Kind of an ominous sign if we don't hit that $75 goal by the end of the show, guys. But we will hopefully hit it tomorrow. So you will get a chance to unlock the bonus content. However, bonus content that was created today goes away forever. So your only chance to see it is if we unlock the bonus content today. So I recommend somebody goes to forlibertyshop.com and buy a couple boxes of coffee if you want to hit that and see today's mini documentary. Zegler's comments calling the original Snow White dated, which we just played a minute ago, mocked the idea of being rescued by a prince, insulted fans by calling them losers obsessed with bloodline purity. And who could forget their comments that Rachel Zegler made about Trump supporters? Does anybody remember? And did she say them on video or did she just post them? Terrible things Snow White actress said, let's see, about Trump supporters. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, here we go. I don't know if I can get the audio of that on there. Let's see. I'll you know what I'm going to do? And this is genius. I'm going to tweet it, and then I'm going to post it on my X line because I'm working with 2 computers, so like things don't necessarily translate immediately on the computer that I'm running the show on. But since I can tweet it and then pull up this scene, I am working my magic here. Here it is. There we go.
This is the same woman who posted on Instagram after the election. I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us toward a world I do not want to live in, leaning us toward a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. P.S. There's no daughter. Leaning us toward a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want. There's no daughter and there's no daughter's baby. Leaning us toward a world that is fearful. This law should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Then she discusses the deep, deep sickness in this country.
May Trump and his supporters never know peace. That's Rachel Zegler, the star of the new Snow White movie. I wonder why they didn't go see it.
There is no help, no counsel in any of them. And she also attacked Twitter and Elon and finished it all with "fuck Donald Trump." So it's one of the reasons why she's not like the ideal choice for the lead role in Sweet Snow White, and why many people are still, not to mention all the terrible things she said about, including, well, let me just play the one of the ones that got her in trouble when she ripped on Snow White back in 2022, SOT 38.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that
She's
is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Okay.
By the way, I'm insulted because she
Donald Trump.
assumed the gender of her future child. I don't think that's right.
Good point. Good point.
I mean, what also confounds me, I mean, hot take, so don't drag me in the comments, but these super liberal pro-abortion women like Rachel Zegler, they're always single and alone. I'm like, I think you're safe, actually. I think you're fine. You know what I'm saying? So
at least she's
okay, Ollie London. Critics said changing the ethnicity of Snow White clashed with the skin as white as snow motif. So in order to have a reason for her to be named Snow White, apparently they decided that it was because she was born in a snowstorm. Oh, cringe. This isn't about race or inclusion. It's about erasing the essence of a story to please a tiny sliver of Twitter activists. Disney is trying to produce movies for the internet, and they need to make movies for the movie audience, right? This is forced diversity. It's not artistic freedom, right? They don't have freedom to make good movies in Hollywood anymore. They're not allowed to make good movies. They're not allowed to make movies that would be box office hits, that would be cultural phenomenons, because cultural phenomenons inherently have some form of controversy, and they might appeal, oh my God, they might appeal to people who don't necessarily subscribe to left-wing politics. And you can't do that. You can't make art that might be interesting to people who are outside of the leftist bubble. Hollywood has really destroyed themselves. Disney, I don't wish Disney harm. I don't want them to be destroyed. I don't want American cultural icons to be tarnished. I want Disney to wake up, smell the founding flavors coffee, right? Right? So we didn't unlock today's bonus content. That's okay. It does go away, and you will get a chance to see fresh content that we'll create tomorrow. We create a new mini documentary every day for the Wake Up America show, and if you don't unlock it, then it disappears forever. We didn't unlock today's bonus content. I get it. It's a Monday. People were really tapped out after Friday. It was the biggest show we ever had, so I'm not going to let it get me down, and neither should you. But we do say as we exit what? Through the Grift Shop. What? Through the Grift Shop. Do visit forlibertyshop.com. If you haven't, get yourself a box of our delicious coffee, maybe a Wake Up America show mug. The Madisonian Morning, absolutely delicious. I'm going to run those through my new espresso machine I got this weekend. We appreciate all you do for us, for Liberty, at forlibertynetwork.com. We'll see you guys tomorrow, right back here again on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your Founding Flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.